Fault tolerance and high availability is usually considered the same thing. Um, fault tolerance meaning ability to continue to operate, not human but machines continue to able to operate even with the failure of a single hardware or multiple hardwares, and they are able to have a backup devices attached to them so that they are able to operate. So fault tolerance is a very old concept, and these are operating system concepts. The operating system continue to operate even uh, uh, with the failed software parts as well. Hardware, we all know that we have a backup disk, so they will continue to operate. But if operating systems have that concept as well, yes, if certain part or certain files are missing on the system, you will not scrap out the whole um, operating system. Business machines are very crucial machines. They are not like our home laptops. They have the whole uh, business world or the business information is stored inside them. So if one or two softwares are not working, that if they are really mandatory for the system, we might think of, okay, why they are not working, or we try to troubleshoot that. But there is always a margin of ignorance. Let's say if you have a very uh, stable system working and you are trying to install one uh, new piece of software, so your employees can have can facilitate and can have a facility of using it. If that doesn't work out, yeah, if it was working out on the other or your competitor system or your friend system who is also using that, but if it is not working out in your system, you might have to ignore that, and you cannot just scrap that, oh, I will reinstall the Windows, or I will take it to the shop and they can install it for me. That's not going to happen too often in the Windows system, right? Once they are set in stone kind of thing, and they are covering their lifetime. Disaster recovery plan. So every company should have a disaster recovery plan. We always think of, oh, this catastrophe might not happen to our location, but because we are at a very secure location, how good are the chances if this system will um, or this building will have flood or come down, or even that if not happens, but how good chance it is that multiple hardware failures happen on the same day and the system or the server goes down. Do we have the disaster recovery plan of it? How far in the time we can afford the disaster recovery? For a smaller organizations, I heard a beep. I hope you are able to hear me. For the smaller organizations, um, you will still say that, yeah, we can give, if we have 1 or 2 days loss of data, we can still survive. But as I was mentioning yesterday, in the banking environment or in the insurance company environment, you cannot afford to have this kind of uh, if you have worked in the morning or a whole day on an Excel sheet, and if in the afternoon that sheet is gone, your IT might say, oh, sorry, I will not be able to recover it because you worked in the morning. If you have worked it on it yesterday, I can recover it from yesterday's backup. But sorry, you started working on this morning. This afternoon, I cannot recover this because our backup kicks in the night. So you are at a loss. But well, you have a sigh of relief, and then you'll say that, okay, yeah, uh, not sigh of relief, but you'll say, okay, you have a big sigh, and you'll say that, okay, yeah, well, I will have to rework. It is okay, but In business, in the banking environment, you cannot have it. If you have that transaction recorded, you need it back. So backup and backup. I'm a very strong supporter of backup. Just as we care too much about our pictures, our family documents on our phone. Oh, if my phone is lost, I will lose all my pictures. So I sometimes constantly, and you sometimes constantly take backup of your pictures. Similar to that, business documents are relatively more important than your European trip pictures or whatnot, right? So you still have to have a disaster recovery plan, and backups will save you the day in that sense. So when we talk about backup, we can in the normal business environments, because I've worked in the on-premises server where you have the physical server located at your location. Uh, you save yourself with 4 different types of backup. One could be a nightly backup, that could be a full backup of your server or servers. The other layer of backup would be other type of backup would be a shadow copy of your work, so that if you are working on something since 8 in the morning or 9 in the morning, at lunchtime your server kicks in at lunchtime and starts to take back. Just going to mute everyone. So you take the copy or the shadow copy of the document, and then you will still have the backup of afternoon, not the full backup of the whole entire system, but you can have a shadow copy backup as well. Those who don't know shadow copy backup, I'm not going to explain it here, but I'm just telling you that it's a kind of a backup where you can go on the previous versions the of the document. How far back? It all depends upon the strategy you set for your depending upon the hardware that you have. Then you can have another on-premises kind of a backup which you will take home. So nightly backup that happens on premises, shadow backup that happens on your uh, system every day, morning and afternoon. All those that are already those files that are only getting changed will have a shadow copy, right? So that delta that is changing, only you need to do that backup. Those files who are staying there for last 6 months, year, 2 years, and not getting modified, they will be the part of backup, but because they are not changing, they are not adding to the delta, you can ignore them and you can keep them as it is. So anybody of you know, while I'm on this topic, I want to know what knowledge do you guys have for the backups? Let's talk about that. It's a part of a disaster recovery or fault tolerance, whatever you say, but it's a on-premises kind of idea. What type of backups that are available or backup solutions are available in the market? A very old and popular picture which I explained to my classes. I'm going to open it. I just do a quick Google search and types of backups, and this is the diagram I'm after on the right side. Full backup. The entire data set, regardless of any previous backups of circumstances, you will take a full backup. So let's say you have this initial state of the system, you take the backup. When you take a backup, it takes the whole system backup. Then your system starts to go. It's a full and expensive backup. You need to have a type of a hard backup which you are taking when you are not taking any risk and you are taking the full backup. So when your system grows, you take another backup. When your system grow, you take another backup. Depending, you can see a little bit of bigger or smaller. Doesn't really matter. You are taking the full backups. You're not trusting any of the devices. You are just saying that, okay, I'll take a full backup no matter what. Well, this is expensive because it's time consuming as your data is growing up, as people are depositing file, not just file, even if they are entering the data into database, that information is going into the database with full information. Time consuming. What other type of backup that you can do then? Well, you only need to take the full backup first time and then you build on top. So you leave the dark blue part alone and you just add delta to it. So when you run the backup, your backup software will check what are the files that have changed since your last backup, because it keeps the inventory and indexing of all the files and figures out which files have the delta changed, and then it will add the full backup, right? This small change. Then it and the next time when it runs, or second day or third day when it ran, it will still be relying on the first full backup, and then it will start to say, okay, from the last time we have this much delta. So on the full backup, it adds a layer of a new backup. So this is the differential backup. So from the first initial full backup, you start to add on the most full recent backup, you start to add the layer of the differentials. And each time you have, at the end of the 7th day, it has become, let's say, we are a very fast-paced company. At the end of the 7th day, we have a first full backup, but our differential is much more than our actual first full backup. So we still are at a loss at the 7th day. Not every company has this kind of situation, but I'm just saying if it happens. So yes, differential backups are practical. Not every company will have this kind of a scenario, but it always adds, and keep the log of the first full backup and then keep adding the new backup on top, or a layer every day. First day, second day, third day, fourth day, fifth day. Well, incremental backup is much more efficient in that sense. What they do is that they have the first full backup, and the next day they have a full backup plus the differential. Now, what happens the day after your first full backup or initial backup, that is why it says initial backup, your initial backup and the first full backup becomes or merged together to form a full backup for the next day. Then you're only working with the differential of today. Next day, this whole thing becomes the full backup, all combined together or all squashed together, stapled, and then whatever has happened in the next business day you will take that backup. So just in case if disaster happens on this day, right, you can go back and say that I'm going to recover. So all you can do, recovery time depends upon how much is the data, but I'm not talking about that. Last day you will only consider the full backup plus the differential of the last day. Here you will have to go back in the week, find your first full backup, and then start building from here, here, and here. You go here. The advantage of it here is that you will only go back to the last day and build on top of that. So these are three different strategies. Full backup is not the most ideal strategy because it is time consuming, because it takes cost of, if you are to restore, if you are to if you are to take the backup, actually it will take the full time to take the backup of the whole data. It will take the full time to take the backup of the whole data. Here and here you only need to work with what you have changed, and then you just build on top. So that is why differential and incremental backups are more efficient backups. You don't have to wait whole 8 hours to take the backup of the system. You just build on top of what was your last backup. But these are the strategies that are being built on the on-prem servers. Any questions on that? Understanding the backups? I'll open up this article. If you need to read this, you can do it later on, but I'm just going to paste it in the chat window. So one of the thing to, if you want to increase your knowledge on the types of backups, there are some good backup softwares available in the market. I will just name a few because just in case you don't know that, I'm going to mention. One is let me just find out. One is, what's the name? Okay, yeah, the corporate. I'm going to open up three. First one is Veeam. Veeam backup is the backup software that is used by the corporates, and it has the capability of taking the backups of uh, the file, backups of the virtual server that are on premises. It has the capability of taking the backup of your emails of the employees. So just in case if you have an employee who's angry and leaving the company and he decided to delete all the emails before he leaves, that doesn't happen anymore because Office 365 can help you recover all those emails. But in case if you don't have Office 365, you have on-premise email or something like that, then you can still recover your emails through Veeam. The good part that I like about Veeam, so that what it does, it not only takes the backup of your server, but it also has the capability to take the backups of your client machines, your CEO's laptop or desktop, or your account manager, or whoever running your payroll. These are important computers. These are important machines because they might have some special softwares installed on them. Maybe an AutoCAD computer on which your pipelines are being designed, right? So these are critical machines. And the good part I like about these is that Veeam is that it actually takes the backup of that system. And just in case if you lose the physical machine itself, let's say if it has been stolen or totally malfunctioned or rammed in the truck, you can boot up that machine which is not available to you physically. You can literally boot it up as a virtual machine. So you can still recover information, and it acts as like, on the server, you go in and say that boot this machine as a virtual machine. So you can boot that machine as a virtual machine, and you can have the physical access. But keeping in mind, the backup has to be enabled, and backup has to be it might be able to restore you last night's backup or something like that. So Veeam is one of the market leaders in that. Um, uh, so it has a lot of functionality. You can create a weekly backup as well on it, and it can create differential and incremental backup. That was the general idea that I gave you, that what is the general types of backups that you may see in the market. um, but the other software is also there for good long time. It is called Economies True Image. So you can see what kind of uh, functionality it provides. It can clone the software, it can clone the backup, it is used for disk imaging. So just in case if you have a sales department or a service department, service department might like to have a sales department might like to have a Salesforce or any other sales kind of a software that they use. And then you can create an image and deploy that image. So if you are shipping out a new laptop to a sales guy, you are not shipping him out any software that he doesn't need. So you will have a sales image and you have a service image. In the service image, you might have uh, softwares for servicing the pipeline or something like that, or servicing the auto or servicing that. Sales guy don't need that. So you can create some images and deploy those images to the new laptop that you are trying to ship it out. And for the sales guy, you can just deploy the image and you ship it out. So you don't need to go sit in the morning, 8 a.m. in the morning, you go to the office and you start installing Microsoft Office. I need to install Adobe Acrobat. I need to install antivirus. I need to do this. No, all you say that this is the disk image. This is the perfect image of the laptop that I want to send out to my sales guy. Deploy this image on this laptop. You provide the image, you provide the direction where you need to deploy it, you deploy it, and then you set up the emails and then test it out, or just a quick spot check with your checklist that I've checked this, this is installed, and then make sure it is working, and then you ship it out of Purelator. You can ship it out, or you can give it to or hand it over to them. So you
I
have
have a question, if you don't mind.
yes.
So,
Yeah.
is this kind of because I know Amazon has a AMI file. It's an image file for instances.
Yes.
Yeah. So, is that like something that's standard across all cloud um, services, like from Amazon or whether it is, or and is this specific to just backing up, or like it's like an image file for backups only? And is this something that Amazon uses as well? Or
Uh, I, Amazon might have a different technology. Amazon use those EMIs and machines that are templates. Yes, you can those templates or those EMI files or those pre-built images are there, but you have to obviously generally customize it to what you need for your software. So those for Amazon, if you are giving out somebody a laptop, obviously you can give them the Amazon account, and they can download and they can log into those machines virtually. From as long as they have internet connection, they can remote desktop into that machine. Yes, they can, but this is not the same idea. It is mostly for the physical machines that I'm talking about, because physical laptops, physical machines, physical desktops has to be given to the employees to work with. But yes, if they want to use Amazon services on their computer, this is not the full-blown deployment. Obviously, for any Amazon service you need to have a physical Windows machine or physical Mac operating system or something like that, so that you can log in to that remote machine that is available on the cloud. But ideology is that you are creating a workforce for your service and sales guys, or whichever uh, guys who are working out their sales, service, management. They might have different images because they have to do some presentation and whatnot. So you are not going to install every morning. You are a system support person or something like that. You have a lot of other things to do. You are not going to install Microsoft Office, emails, and all those softwares. You just have an image and deploy that image. That kind of idea. For the Amazon and AWS machines, yes, you can use that. You can just create a shortcut of those machines on those images or those Windows 10 machines that you have prepared, and then person can click on that and go to those machines and start using that. So that way, that's another good point with those machines is, let's say if laptop is stolen, but most of my work is available on Amazon, AWS, or Azure virtual machine. So I don't care about that laptop being installed. I have to be careful, but what I'm saying is that if all my files are there, I can freeze that laptop with a freezing software or something that if it is stolen, you can just disable the account. Nobody will be able to use it, or disable the account or something like that. But in the first place, you should avoid that if it is not stolen. But things can happen. So what you can do, you can disable the account, you can recreate the new account for the person, and then say that you have all your data on your Amazon. Just log in with this new account that I'm giving you while I'm taking care of disabling that stolen machine or something. Yeah, so these are a couple of backup softwares. There is one or two more which I'm okay with. I'm not going to mention, but I'm just was mentioning that yes, different backups. And I'm a big advocate of having a backup of your server, because if you have an on-premise servers, some companies are still not on the cloud, right? As I mentioned, not everyone is comfortable moving to the cloud. So yes, if they are doing that, you will need to provide them with the solution. So that's what we last time what we covered is mostly. So let me just quickly go through some of the things we yesterday covered, um, and learn through the Microsoft Learn. We look at, I give you these links so you can browse to those links. But in a nutshell, we looked at cloud computing, computing power, storage, networking, and analytics, networking between your machines, your bot machines that you bought on Azure. You can network them together as well. And then the analytic part, which means uh, uh, running the dashboard, graphs, and charts to analyze the data. Just give me a moment, please. Right. So basically on the cloud, what are the services that you want to acquire? The storage, the computing power, the networking, the analytics. Storage means your files and the database. So you cannot just ignore database and you are just storing it files. Well, that is just one purpose of it. Mostly you want to host your database there. Windows, Linux machines, and that's not included Windows 10 or Windows or Ubuntu, but server machines. So it all depends upon what kind of machine that you want. Obviously, you're on the Windows platform, so you will most probably want to prefer Windows server machine, but yes, you can acquire other server machines as well. Networking and the analytical part that I just discussed. So what do you mean by three terms? Now I'm going to ask, what do you mean by scaling first? I mentioned that in the detail yesterday, and I built on top of the scalability. I asked you guys what is the scalability means, and then we can ask one more definition. So I need one line precise answer. I don't want definitions of it. What is the scalability? And give me by example.
The ability for a service or a system to cater towards the needs of a user, so it goes either up or down in capacity. Could be something
Great
like
answer.
memory or something.
Yeah, great answer. So yeah, we can scale up in the size or scale horizontal as well. We can have one machine that we can continue to scale up, or we can create some other machines if we need to. We can, if we can go this direction, we can see that we can increase number of machines. No matter what we are scaling, they will going to be charged. The elasticity is nothing but automatic scaling. So scalability, you scale up, but then you'll manually scale it down. Elasticity is an automatic scaling up and automatic scaling down. So as I was mentioning, you see a rush in the Christmas season, your business went up, and then after Christmas season, let's say if I'm a Christmas tree selling company. So I know around October, November time, my business sale will go up, but in January, February time, it will go down. So I will not need to buy another server. I will just wait for Azure to automatically scale up. How much you don't know. So that is why it is called automatic scaling. If you know that how much you want to scale and you don't want to pay more on the bills, then it will not be an automatic scaling. That will be a manual scaling. Agility and ability to react quickly. So if you see a sudden rush on your website, it will automatically scale up for you, and obviously allocate and deallocate the resources accordingly. Fault tolerance, we just discussed. What are the terms associated with fault tolerance? Replication, disaster recovery. We have discussed that part. In a typical high availability, you will have an uptime and the total time. So availability is the uptime, how much time you're up and how much time has passed. Obviously, if you are even down for a 1 day or something like that, your availability get strike. So availability, the more availability is that in general, the idea is that um, you are available 3.65 days of, I think this is downtime, and 7 point, yeah, I haven't looked at this, but yeah. So if you claim that you are available for 99% of the time, so you have a margin of going down for 3.65 days, or in the month you will have this many hours to go down, and then and if you talk about per day, you will have I don't know what it says, I think, but it is 1.44 minutes. I think that's what it says. I can't see I can't read that, but in generally, if you say that we will provide you 99.99% availability, you are asking for more. That 3.65 day of downtime versus only 52 minutes of downtime. So some mathematician has gone on and calculated that. So, but in general, if you claim more, the 99 versus 99.9, see how much you're putting the burden on your system, on your server, that you cannot even go down for this many days. 99% in the modern world is not considered as a good availability. Even for a small business, you cannot go down for that much time. But let's come back to the key concept. We have covered all these key concepts in the first class. Now I'm going to cover the topic economies of scale. It's more of a business topic today. which is economies of scale, but it is applied to Azure as well. That this is how you think of your business all the time. So I'm just giving you some business logics, a business mindset as well, that how the economies of scale works. I have created some slides which I'm going to put over in D2L so that you have it as well. But in general, in economies of scale, just open up. So why we discuss this is because we will not be just doing in our when we'll go out in the field, we'll not be just doing IT and IT support and IT networking or IT programming, all that. At some point we want to grow in our career, we want to become the champion of Azure. So if we are providing some solutions to some other companies, and if you go as a contractor from one company to another company to deploy new Microsoft Azure solution, we need to bring in on the table that why we need cloud computing solutions. And let's say we start, so don't think of that, okay, yeah, oh, this is not my area, but this is your area. As a business manager or as a management for any management position, you need to talk numbers with the company. Obviously you or your team will be deploying these kind of solutions, but you need to mention the economies of scale. So let's say you are a small business company. You have a small business company, or you are talking to the owner of the small business company, and he's starting a delivery company. The first, when they will start the company, they will definitely need an upfront cost. What kind of that upfront cost is? You need to buy 3 trucks for the company, let's say, and each individual truck is costing them 100 or 10K, which is very low at this day and age. But let's say each truck will require some maintenance individually. Each truck will require some insurance. Altogether, let's say it is $500 for all 3 trucks, and some other costs that are associated. If something is some requires whatever the filter change and whatnot, and then you are able to cater your customers, and your customers are satisfied. So you, at the end of the day, when you start the business, you want to have some profit at the end of the month after you have invested this. Obviously this will depreciate over the time, we all know that, but at the end of the day you are thinking that yes, I am making some money. That math has to be put into practice. But this is the very small delivery company that we are starting. And let's say you have grown in your business, and instead of 3 trucks, you now have 300 trucks. Let's say you are adamant and you say, no, I will going to buy all those 300 trucks. So the cost will still going to go up for investing of all those 300 trucks, and you will be buying all those with the cost. Let's say instead of 10K, you get some discount, you got it at the rate of 9K, and the maintenance cost, you get a contract with the company that if my truck goes down, don't charge me $100 per truck, maybe just $90 per truck. You are still probably be saving some money onto that. But when you start the business, the economies of scale works like this way, that when you start your business, your cost starts to go down. As you become from a small size to the mid-size company, your cost starts to go down because you are negotiating, and you will have a lot more customers to cater. The customer icon is missing here, but you are obviously not catering 3 customers. You will be catering a lot more customers, and your business grows. Your cost is cutting down, and this is the logic the bigger companies work with, that you start high when you are a small business, but as they grow bigger and bigger, the cost of running the business goes down and down. So cost per service, per unit service lowers as the size of the company grows in this fashion. High, small business, high, medium business obviously stay within the medium, and the low as you negotiate with more companies in the local area or within the city or something, that this is the guy who's giving us the cheapest cost of maintenance, this guy is giving us the cheapest cost of insurance. The more you grow, the more you have a brand name, the more people will give you more discounts. So this is how the economies of scale works. That is the only reason I was showing. With Microsoft Azure, you don't have to worry about that. With Microsoft Azure, what they are doing is the the business model they are providing is the pay as you go. The principle of economies of scale. So let's read this together. The principle of economies of scale states that the companies grow, they become more effective at managing the shared operation, be that HR and hiring, uh, tax and accounting, internal operations. So we are not just talking about the trucking company now. Big purchases via the contracts, meaning better discounts, etc., etc. Because of this, because of those companies can save and earn more, which in return allows of reduction in the cost of their service to their customer. This is so-called price per unit. It is not possible to from zero, go to zero, because in the end, some underlying infrastructure needs to provide the service. But the larger the scale, the more the benefit can be passed to the customer. So this is what Microsoft does. The more people who go on Microsoft Azure and buy the subscription, they will be able to provide you the service at the lower cost. Sometimes they might be able to give you, when you go subscribe for Microsoft subscription, Azure subscription, they are giving you a 14-day free trial. How they are able to do that? They might have given you a 7-day free trial. Thing is, Microsoft is such a big company that they can obviously afford 7-day free trial to you at anyways. But if they have made the profit of Microsoft Azure, the Azure team might come and say that, well, Microsoft is subsidizing 7 days for a free trial. As a project manager or as a head or a lead of Microsoft Azure, we can add 7 more days to a free trial, and then in turn you will have 14-day of free service available for Microsoft Azure. And this is next thing that I'm going to talk about. In fact, in the current scale, Microsoft already offer multiple services for free due to the small fraction of the cost it is for them. They are already a big giant. They are just looking to make some extra money, not just from Azure, but they obviously have gaming consoles, right? And other business areas where they are growing anyways. So why not they provide the free subscription on certain things? The cost of the maintaining your files and databases is very small. So this is the for you to read. This is the general idea of economies of scale, that how it works. But I want to imply it here that in any business right now, how Microsoft is able to give you this trial for 14 days is because of these economies of scale. And it happens to any other company. If they grow, they provide some free services. Buy one, get one free, or buy, get 50% off or something like that, right? So if other companies can afford to do that, they have obviously the mathematicians and accounting people who are able to give this such kind of discounts. So this is the chapter 2 that you will be able to read, and this is not a big chapter, but this is just an idea of how the economies of scale work. Now coming back to 14-day subscription of it. So I already want to mention it here to you guys. So keep in mind this, how that, let's say this is a 3-week course. So at the end of this week, if you buy subscription of Azure, you will get 14-day trial. So you will have 2 weeks to go through when we'll be working through this course. Yes, you can have 2 weeks of trial and you can do trial and error and you can play. Once you have a subscription, you can go and do it. But I want you to keep your horses in control. When you buy the subscription, let's say at the end of this week or something, let's say you buy the subscription, you will have then 2 weeks available for before this course and the 2 weeks for the Microsoft Azure subscription. So that will be I will not say ideal or optimal, but that will be the same time when you will be starting a subscription. But let's say you start your subscription today. You will have 1 week or 6 days to spare, and you might need to do another subscription or pay the cost for it. So you will be going ahead and buying all your subscription with your own credit card. I have already purchased my subscription for 14-day trial. The only thing that it requires when you are subscribing is the credit card information. It will not charge out anything off from you. It will only keep it for the subscription purpose. When you are going to buy anything from Azure, it will confirm you that are you sure that you want to buy this. When you will confirm, then you will be buying that. And because of the 14-day subscription, you can cancel it on the 13th day or something like that. Put that in your calendar or put that in your notifications or something like that. It will be your responsibility that you will be canceling out that subscription on the 13th day or the night of the 13th or 14th. So make sure you do that. The other thing that I recommend is that when you buy the subscription, I haven't done that, but I will recommend that before you buy anything on Microsoft Azure, it will give you a brief summary that this is what you have done. And when you will be doing some hands-on work with it, it will let you know. When you will be standing on the last screen, at that time, you can cancel out and don't buy that machine. And it will not ding your credit card for that. But even if it has dinged you, still have two choices to do. At the 13th day, you can cancel out and it will not charge your subscription, because 13th day or 14th day, it will make a bill for you and make it a final stamp on your purchase. So you can cancel out. So these are some important points that I'm mentioning. You can subscribe and purchase it right now if you are making one virtual machine or something like that, and then you can cancel on the 13th day. Or if you are making a machine and you said that, oh, I'm okay with it, I don't need to click this final submit button, and you can cancel out, so it will not even make that machine for you. But if you want sanity and you said, oh, I want to see if that machine is created or not, go ahead, you can do that. But then make sure that you cancel out on the 13 days and then you will not be charged of that. So these are a couple of cautionary steps that I am mentioning right now. So your subscription is your baby. Make sure you cancel it and cancel your subscription and unsubscribe it on the 13th day, or cancel it when you are ready to say submit. So it's all up to you. I will try at least one machine. When I will be making one virtual machine, I will let it there for 12 or 13 days and cancel it on 13 days. Now, the last resort of it is that, let's say you forget and you did not cancel your membership for Azure. What you can do, okay, it has charged you, let's say 13 or 14. I don't know how much it will charge for the machine. We'll see the pricing when we will go on the Azure portal. Practically, we can look into it. When we will go to the practical side, we will see that at that time. You can actually call and cancel that. I was trying it out and sorry I forget to cancel it, but that last third resort is that you will have to go and call and cancel that. But mind you, calling Microsoft is pain. Microsoft support is not very good. I have spent time as an IT support person, hours calling Microsoft and say, oh, sorry, I'll transfer you to the right department. Sorry, I'll transfer you to the right department. sorry, I'll transfer you to the right department. And it's a miserable to call Microsoft support for any reason. But even if it is Microsoft Office, Microsoft SQL Server, or any support that you call, unless and until you have a dedicated support. Obviously, for a dedicated support, you have to buy a, a dedicated subscription, but their 1-800 number is miserable. So I don't think so that you want to leave it at the last resort and spending few hours on them. I'm hoping, obviously, if you call Microsoft Azure support directly, you will get a better chance and support, and they will direct your call to the right department. But I haven't called them for years because I avoid calling them. So this is the subscription option for you when you will be working with Azure. So when we'll go to that practical hands-on, we'll try that. Luckily, we haven't started any hands-on thing, but when we will do that, we will be looking at that option and keeping in mind that, okay, so you have to remember what day you have started subscription. I started my subscription last week, so I'm into my subscription, maybe 2 or 3, I don't remember, 4 or 5 days. But whatever is the date, until and unless I don't buy anything, my subscription will stay as it is, will not be dinging me. If I'm just not logging in, it is just there. So if I want to cancel the subscription, I will show you where you go ahead and cancel your subscription on the portal itself. Now, other thing you can do is that, let's say you buy the subscription today, and this is a 3 weeks course. On the third week, you can cancel the subscription and maybe go to your second Hotmail or live email account and subscribe for a new thing. But the only downside with that is that whatever work you have done in your first account will be lost, because the new account will be considered as a new subscription, and all the new information will be put in. So obviously, if you have a different live account, it is considered as a different company. And as you know, on the cloud, one account cannot be mixed with another account unless Microsoft has some kind of a consolidation or something, which I'm not looking into discuss now. But what I'm saying is that yes, you can cancel the subscription from another account and create another subscription on another account, but you have to start all over for that. Let's say if you have created a machine or something, but in the first place, if you haven't created a machine on your first account and you canceled out at that time, you are not getting dinged anyways, so you can continue to work on that. So make sure you cancel it out. So this is my 2 cents on it. This is what my understanding of the model is. If you have any questions in that. So it does require your credit card information, just like I think AWS also. And I don't know why, if it's a 14-day trial period, don't ask me my credit card right now. Maybe send me an email on the 14th day, but this is how their business model is. So I'm not going to talk about that. And so chapter 3, a little bit of revision of economies of scale again, but that's we will go into this very quickly. Capital expenditure versus operation expenditure. So the upfront costs, just like we looked at the trucking company example, significant cost. Operational cost, obviously, if you look at the upfront cost of the operational expenditure, nothing, because you don't need to buy anything, any hardware, obviously. But when you are, so think of it, Azure and AWS, same kind of idea. So this this table that you are seeing applies to both Azure and AWS. And ongoing cost is low. Obviously, once you have the initial investment done, you will have very low cost of maintenance. Like, you just pay for the insurance, you just pay for the maintenance cost. You are not looking for another until you include another truck to your company. You are just doing a maintenance cost on that. Well, operational expenditure on the business model, like operational expenditure, you will be charged based on the services that you acquire. As I mentioned, you will be charged when your credit card will only be charged for the services that you purchase. If you don't do it, you will not be charged. tax varies from different countries to different countries. So it's a complicated topic, but at the moment we are not dealing with the taxes. But if you are if you're bringing this to the attention of the CEO, you will have to make sure that he's covered in his taxes as well. Early termination, you cannot do this. Once you purchase the hardware, you are stuck with it. You cannot get rid of it. If you decided that you want to close down this delivery business, you will have to sell your business to some other until you have a buyer. You are stuck with it. You cannot do any early termination. With the operational expenditure, yes, you can terminate your Azure services. You can cancel your subscription on the 14th day and you will be done with it. Maintenance. That is why I heard that more. I don't know whether it's a myth or not, but people are saying in the same is happening with the real estate. Why our parents invested in that 25-year mortgage and have a property at the end of the 25? Why just live in a low operational expenditure and just own it, and when you move out from one country to another country or one province to another, you are not owning anything. With here operational cost or real estate cost, maintenance of the real estate is again changing the pipe or changing the water tap with your own hands and struggle for it if you are not good at doing it. With operational cost, they are doing it for you, and you just think of it as a rental versus you're owning the own property. And that is causing another uh, question in the new generation, that why we jump into this kind of a consumption model anyways, capital expenditure model anyway. So this is the capital expenditure, more in-depth coverage of what I'm just talking about. You can go and read that out. So this is uh, in general, cloud-based computing is giving you. So first day we looked at what is the cloud computing, what are the facilities that are available. Right now we are looking in general the costing part of it, because the next thing that you will need to convince your bosses and manager is that why we are going to the and what is the next question will be coming from the management, what is the cost. And hopefully in that conversation you are able to convince them that this is the model that we currently have versus what model we will have when we'll go to the operational expenditure model. So this requires a little bit of convincing, and obviously that is why these slides are here. Let's take a quick break here, and I will continue to talk. So let's meet at 6:40. So, welcome back. So, yesterday we were looking at briefly on all these terms IaaS, PaaS, SaaS, uh, and their differences. But first of all, we will learn what they are in actual. Wherever you go on Google and you find these, I will see if I can find the picture of it as well. But the very first picture that comes in here on Google, quick Google search, when I just write all these three terms, this is the first picture that comes in. From the difference we can learn in a moment, but let's just start with this. And as I mentioned, this is a very common interview question. And because this is an Azure fundamental course, not too many people are asking, show me how to do this, show me how to do that. Expectation is a little bit of understanding of the cloud, what is happening in the cloud. So when we talk about infrastructure as a service, you purchase this networking, storage, server, virtualization. I think I have some slides made for that. Now, as I recall, I think I have the slides for it as well. Just give me a moment. But I will come back to that. Let's cover that, because if we have covered the topic, then we will just go through those slides as well really quickly. And I will put those slides on content as well. I haven't put that, but I will put that today after the lecture is over. So you will have it. But when we have, the first think of it, what you do in a usual scenario when you are setting up your business. Don't think of a cloud right now. You buy a server, you buy storage, you buy networking, you buy all these devices, you buy router and switches, and you do all the networking. And then you probably, once you buy that, you will create some if you're not talking about virtualization at the moment, but this is what you essentially do. You buy server, storage, networking, RAM, physical hardware. That is the infrastructure that you are investing in. And then for your employees to work on, you will need, obviously, just to skip out virtualization at the moment, but you will, if you want to give them to work on something, you will give them operating system, the middleware, and at least to start working on something. So that's what you are going to provide them to use that. And at the end, what you will probably provide them, you go to any office, you are standing at the reception, or you are standing at the driving license office. They probably have some software interface, so that's what you provide. The driving license companies provide there to the employees the data and the application, on the application which they will be entering the information. Obviously, some other tools as well, but most likely a couple of applications for them to use. This is basically the service that you provide. At IaaS level, if you are acquiring or renting these services from Azure or AWS, what you are basically asking is that, hey, Azure or AWS will be providing you all these services, these infrastructure services. So if you are just renting this piece out, this is your parts to maintain. The operating system, you will install that. The middleware, you will install that. They will give you the virtualization part. But IaaS, this becomes a little useless if you have to install the operating system. But there is another way that you can live without the operating system, because you just can also acquire the runnable services, right? So I'm going to use that word, runnable services, meaning that you just, those services are also available without having to install the whole operating system. But sometimes you either use the operating system services, or you have to use the whole operating system as a whole. So let's say Azure provided you this, so you will have to manage in IaaS these are your responsibilities that you will maintain this. In the PaaS, in the platform as a service, Azure says that, okay, you want to rent more? That's okay. We have that available to us. We will provide you the operating system, the middleware, the runtime as well. So that you can rent. So you are becoming more dependent on the cloud. And in the last part, everything is handled by Azure and AWS. That is, you are saying that we don't want any infrastructure setup. We all have our laptops and desktop given to the employees. They are working from home. Applications is hosted on the Azure. Uh, Everything is hosted on there. That is why sometimes say make money online. Those companies say that everything will be provided to you. Everything will be shipped to you at your home. All you need to use is just log in and start using that machine and go to this website, start recording the data, because everything is getting stored on those using this software as a service machine. So basically, the more expensive you can, or your Azure or AWS bill will get if you buy SaaS with them. You will have a little less strike on your monthly bill if you say that I will be using my own applications and data. That's okay with them. They are not doing that, but this is the decision that you have to make, what kind of service that you are going to acquire. Once you are halfway there, and let's say you said that uh, mm, I'm going to buy IaaS, and you started storing the files like this, and later on that you realize that, oh, I should have purchased PaaS. Obviously, you can make a transition, but then you don't want some pieces dangling, that, oh, we still need to pull that application that is currently running on our local. We need to pull it on the PaaS platform. So you still have to do some additional work to synchronize that. So make a good informed decision that what you want to have at the start of when you are acquiring these services. So this is basically my slides was also set, but I will have to just quickly look up those slides and give it to you. Just give me a moment. What is this? If I have not synced here or not. Not able to find it, but I think the idea is the same. I was able to explain you from the diagram. Let's go to what is happening here. Service model responsibilities. So we saw that website which I was showing you. Did I close it? No. In general, you will see this diagram all the time, whether if it's a plain Jane or if it's in the graphical chart format like this, in the picture format like this. So infrastructure, it is highlighted here. Platform going up until to the runtime, and you can see platform is going up until the runtime. And if you are acquiring the software, it is broken down into 3 blocks, but here it is showing it as here. So if I want you to read these definitions saying software layer consists the application code and set, we have discovered that yesterday. I am going in more detail today now. But platform layer means all the supporting software and the operating system required to host the application, and infrastructure is the layer, consists of the hardware, the infrastructure, and the virtualization required to host the platform. How many of you guys know how to create a virtual machine? Have you guys created a virtual machine in the past?
Yeah, I used VM.
I need some feedback, please. So if you can let me know how many of you guys have created it.
Yeah, I've used the virtual machine before. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. I know one of them one of you guys are talking. I want others, please, if you can give me some feedback. No, none. So, except I think Ali, I was not looking at who was talking. So who
Yeah,
created?
it
Can you?
was me.
Yeah, Ali. Yeah, I can hear recognize one. So that is a surprise. Nobody knows how to create a virtual machine, or have you guys not created a virtual machine in the past? So nobody told you how to make a virtual machine in the previous courses? Probably not.
Well, we learned about it. I just assume people just don't usually make it unless they have a need for it, right?
Yeah. No worries. Okay, that's okay. But I will let you know. I will encourage you guys to create a virtual machine if you can. It's very it's easy and straightforward process. A quick YouTube search can help you with that. I'm not saying that every YouTube video is based on truth, but uh, you can find that out. So what are the so there are three softwares that are popular in the market on which you can create virtual machines. Ali, on which platform did you created the virtual machine? Can you mention?
I've used it on Linux Mint and as well as Windows, and I've also used Mac has a Parallels app for it.
Oh, great. Well, good. I haven't created it on Mac because I don't have a Mac, but that's a good and encouraging. So you have played around and created virtual machines in the past. That's good. Just give the information to the other classmates so that they can up to speed on that. And I recommend that you can experiment this after this lecture, that you can create a virtual machine. And there's no harm in creating a virtual machine. It's not going to do any damage to your computer. It's worth a try. So look at how to create virtual machines. Okay, and the recommended softwares that I will just type it out for you in this case here. And I think every software engineer or every network engineer or every support person should know how to create virtual machine. We are living in this day and age that we should not step away from it. So because as you see that this layer is for the virtual machine. This layer is talking about virtualization. So if you have a little bit of or startup knowledge about virtualization, it will be really easy for you when I will be explaining how to create virtual machine on Azure. Okay, so the three platforms that are available to us, one is called, I'm just going to write it. I think this is this is the free one from Windows. It's called Windows Hyper-V. The first one. Second one is VMware. VMware. You can download this as well. And it's called VMware Player, where you can play the machine. And the last one is called Oracle VirtualBox. Okay, this one is also very easy to create. So, what is a virtual machine, by the way? I'm asking other than Ali. What is a virtual machine? No idea? Yeah, an image of an operating system. Okay. Well, I'm going to explain that. Back in the days, 90s, when I just only have one desktop computer purchased, I wished I would have I would be using at that time I was using Windows machine. And at that time I was thinking of okay, um, I need to install Windows Server operating system on mine or something like that. Um, my limitation was at that time I only have one, I only own one piece of hardware which or a whole computer, and I need to install. I can either have Windows 10 installed or Windows 95 installed on it or 98 installed on it, and then I will be, if I want to install another operating system, I need to juggle around, move my operating system, or probably installing Windows Server operating system. At that time, it is used to call Windows NT at that time. So at that time, I need to make my computer a dual boot operating system. Dual boot meaning at the time when I'll turn the power on, at that time it will ask me whether you want to go on Windows uh, Windows 10, Windows 11, or Windows 95 of that time, or if you want to go Windows Server operating system, which was Windows NT at that time. So I used to select go Windows 10, then it will go and boot up in Windows 10. If I need to go on Windows Server operating system, at that time when I put the power button on, it will say, okay, which operating system you go, and I will say Windows Server operating system, please go there. So all the things that I used to do on Windows 10, I'm those are the two different totally isolated operating system, mutually exclusive. And by this time you should know what is mutual exclusion means. These operating systems will not going to mingle because they have a different uh, because they are on the same machine, but they take me to two different directions on Windows 10 or Windows 11 or Windows Server. Nowadays, what happens is that you will have one operating system which is called host operating system, which I am currently right now sitting on and giving you the lecture. On top of that, if I install this software called Windows Hyper-V, VMware, or VirtualBox, on these softwares, I can create a guest operating system. So my guest operating system is built on top of my host operating system, which is my Windows 10 machine right now, which I'm right now on. But can I create a new operating system on top of that? Yes, I can. How? If I open up VMware, which is already installed on my system, and I have VMware Workstation Pro installed on my system. You can try that as well, but Hyper-V is equally good. So this is my Windows VMware software, which I was mentioning. As you can see, on top it says VMware Workstation. See that? And here are two other operating systems that I have installed on my system for experimental or whatever. Right now these machines are turned off, so that's why you're seeing a black screen. But in a nutshell, I can create. So this is my host operating system that I'm currently working on. This is my host operating system, and there is a software that I installed on this host operating system, which is called VMware, and VMware is actually hosting a guest operating system. So this is my guest operating system. This is my guest operating system, which is my Windows Server machine and Windows 10 machine. On my physical computer, how much juice I have. So this is my physical computer. I'll go to my physical computer and I'll see how much hardware I have. So if I'll go on properties and show the properties of my hardware, this is my actual physical machine. My computer name is this. I have 64 gigs of RAM on my system. You probably have a laptop which will be 16 gigs or 32 gigs or whatever. And I have Windows 11 Pro currently running on my system with this version. So important point to note, very important hardware point to note is how much RAM I have. 64 gigs of RAM. Out of 64, I'm barely using maybe 16 or 8 gigs of RAM. Rest of my RAM is currently available to me. So that RAM is currently wasted. Can I use it somewhere else? Yes, I can use it in my Windows 10 or Windows Server operating system. So keep this number in mind, 64. Okay, how much physical drive that I have? That's another big investment in this computer. So if I look at that, if I click, I have almost 1 terabyte of hard drive, 400 GB, and it's a split hard drive. So there's logical partition that I have made. I have 400 gigs here and almost 600 gigs here, which is 1 terabyte of hard drive. Okay, that's good. So I have some physical space available on both the drives. So can I utilize that? Yes, I can. So what I did is, when I am going to create the virtual machine, and I'm not going to go through the whole process of how to create the virtual machine. A little bit of process, I will leave it to you guys to understand, and you go on search on how to create virtual machine using VMware or Windows Hyper-V. I will open up Windows Hyper-V later on, but out of that 64 gigs, I'm using 16 gigs, which is underutilized on this my physical machine for this virtual machine, and I'm using 2 processors for that, and I'm using only 60 gigs out of that 1 terabyte hard drive. So 3 major things that are the hitting factors of infrastructure is memory, processor, and hard disk, and I'm utilizing all these 3 for my virtual machine. Once I'm able to set that up as a virtual machine, I can literally click the power on button on this guest machine and turn this machine power on. And then this machine will run side by side on the host machine as a guest machine, and guest machine has nothing to do with the host machine. So benefit of that is that if something happens to my virtual machine, and I haven't worked too much on my virtual machines anyways, I can recreate those virtual machines again. I can recreate one new machine as well. File, new virtual machines. I don't like to go through the wizard. I like to create the machines using new window or something, or new virtual machine or something. I don't like, say, I will help you create a Windows wizard comes up and say that click next, 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 and I will let you create that machine. I would like to have custom machines on which I can give my own RAM and memory and everything. So I'll not go through that, the whole lecture of creating that, but I like you guys to get used to of how to create virtual machines, because in the cloud environment, you will not have one virtual machine. Your company might have 2 or 3 or 4 virtual machines. Just like the diagram which you show, the scalability, you might have one machine that you will scale up. That is a virtual machine that you can scale up. Or you can scale horizontally by creating dots or different virtual machines, like these, the ones that you are showing here. Ideology is the same, but those machines will be available on the cloud. Who is hosting those machines? Azure and AWS are hosting those machines for you and keeping it in their repository for you. Here the difference is, I am hosting those virtual machines, and those virtual machines are residing on this computer physically. So if this computer goes down or this computer is trashed, I will lose all those virtual machines. But on the cloud, those machines will remain there. That is my brief introduction to virtual machines. I'm very much amazed that nobody knows, or not too many of you guys know what is virtual machine. So I will let you work and research on that once the lecture is over, that please investigate how to create virtual machines. Whether you are a network engineer, whether you are a support engineer, whether you are a software engineer, digital marketer, you should know. If you are in the field of IT, you should know how to create virtual machine. Scrap those virtual machines, recreate those virtual machines as you wish. It's a 15-20 minutes process that you can create a virtual machine. That's it for me for the virtual machine topic. Coming back to this topic of layering, which I was mentioning about SAS, PAS, and IaaS, this is basically what we have understand. We have seen this kind of infrastructure as well in our diagram. You manage that. Green means provider manage it, whether AWS or Azure will manage these. Same thing, you or the cloud provider will manage it. So the diagram is different, ideology